Welcome educators, instructional designers, and lifelong learners. We've got a fantastic explainer for you today on a truly transformative topic, and that is shifting our classrooms from simple rote memorization to deep, enduring conceptual understanding. Seriously, if you've ever felt like your students are just cramming facts for a test, only to completely forget them by the weekend, you are in exactly the right place. Today, we're going to explore the three-dimensional curriculum shift that actually builds real intellectual muscle. Here is our super quick roadmap for today's explainer. 1. The 3D curriculum shift. 2. Defining conceptual understanding. 3. The power of synergistic thinking. 4. Classroom teaching strategies. And finally, number 5, our ultimate goal, transfer. Let's dive right in. We're kicking things off with this incredibly provocative hook from a Minnesota Teacher of the Year. If you can Google the answers to your test questions suck. I know, it's a bit blunt, but it perfectly frames the massive educational challenge we're facing today. Think about it. In a world where instant information is literally just a keystroke away, if we only ask our kids for easily searchable facts, are we actually developing their intellects? The answer is a resounding no. We really have to move beyond just covering the material.
All right, Section 1, the 3D curriculum shift.
So this shift we're talking about, it's a total paradigm shift in how we approach instructional design. Notice how the traditional two-dimensional topic-based model basically stops at facts and skills. It covers an inch deep and a mile wide, which, let's be honest, ends up being pretty intellectually shallow. The three-dimensional concept-based approach, on the other hand, doesn't just abandon facts. Not at all. Instead, it uses those facts as tools to deliberately build conceptual frameworks. It requires this level of mental processing that produces real, lasting intellectual depth. Just think of it like interlocking blocks. A 3D curriculum isn't just about tossing disjointed pieces of information at students and hoping they stick. It actively and systematically builds structural schemata right there in the brain. It allows students to relate brand new knowledge to what they already know, illuminating all these patterns and connections. It's literally the difference between handing someone a pile of bricks versus building a carefully constructed house. Moving on to Section 2, defining conceptual understanding. Picture a theory triangle mapping out the entire structure of knowledge. Down at the bottom, you have specific, locked-in facts. Now, they are absolutely the necessary foundation, but they aren't the ceiling. Those facts support broader topics, which then support concepts and ultimately principled generalizations at the very top. Our main goal as educators is to help students walk up this triangle, taking isolated little bits of factual knowledge and integrating them into a massive, overarching cognitive framework. But here's the catch. You can't just pick any random concept to teach, right? Wiggins and McTighe actually suggest we filter our concepts to test their worthiness. Does the concept reside right at the heart of the discipline? Does it demand higher-order, rigorous analysis? And maybe, most importantly, does it actually engage students? The cool thing is, you don't even need ready-made student interest if you frame things provocatively. Like, one economics teacher loves to ask his class, when is trash not trash? That instantly demands analysis and engagement way beyond just memorizing a textbook definition.
Which brings us to Section 3, the power of synergistic thinking.
Dr. Lynn Erickson defines synergistic thinking as the cognitive interplay between the factual and conceptual levels of thinking. Basically, it means students are constantly, actively moving back and forth between concrete facts and abstract concepts to make personal meaning. Because you can't just float up in the abstract without facts to anchor you, and you definitely can't just memorize facts without tying them to a larger concept. This synergy right here, this is exactly what makes learning stick. To really see this playing out in the real world, consider the experience of Julia Briggs, an IB chemistry teacher. She noticed that back when she used to just explain and demonstrate, her students would almost immediately forget why elements burned differently. But the moment she started teaching conceptually and inductively, those misconceptions absolutely plummeted. Why? Because the students were actively connecting their own direct observations to abstract concepts on an emotional level. They built the bridge themselves. Okay, let's get practical. Section 4. Classroom teaching strategies. First up, we have the conceptual inquiry cycle. At a basic level, you're going to cycle frequently through a few key components. First, you pose a big abstract conceptual question. Second, you explore a highly specific context. This could be a math problem, a historical moment, or a specific text passage. And third, you guide the students to uncover the conceptual relationship themselves using evidence from that specific context. They are using the specific to answer the abstract. Another really cool, highly engaging tool is concept attainment. This actually mimics how our brains naturally work by having kids act almost like detectives. So instead of just handing them a definition, you have them investigate a series of examples and non-examples. They pull out the patterns, construct their very own working definition, and then iteratively refine it. Kids absolutely love this because it feels like solving a mystery, and the understanding they generate from it is just incredibly deep. But across all of these strategies, there are a few foundational principles you absolutely must remember. Research by Donovan and Bransford reminds us that students come into our classrooms with pre-existing preconceptions. If you don't expose and actively engage those pre-instructional understandings, well, they'll just revert right back to them the second they walk out your door. You have to let the students do the heavy lifting of uncovering relationships, and crucially, you've got to create a safe space where they feel comfortable making guesses, admitting ignorance, and taking real intellectual risks. And finally, Section 5, the ultimate goal: transfer. To really grasp what transfer means, contrast a frozen watch with a globe surrounded by an open road. That frozen watch, that represents factual knowledge that is entirely locked into a specific time, place, or situation. It doesn't move. Now, conceptual understandings act like that road. They allow students to carry their knowledge across space, across completely different cultures, and through time. Organizing information into a conceptual framework means a student can apply what they learned today to a completely new, messy, real-world situation tomorrow. That is huge. We're going to wrap up this explainer with a truly profound filter question. What value will this understanding have for a child in 20 years? Let's be real, if you are struggling to answer that, the topic might not actually be worthy of your student's time. I really hope this question serves as a powerful, practical lens for the next time you sit down to plan a lesson. Challenge yourself to move beyond just the facts, build that 3D curriculum, and teach for the kind of conceptual understanding that truly lasts a lifetime. Keep learning, keep explaining, and I'll catch you in the next one.